For the full playthrough of Hellblade, you can go to my other channel, Cinematic PS4 Gamer. I will be uploading the full documentary video that they had as well.
You hear them too, right?
They're watching her.
Can you see them?
They're going to do that to you.
We picture fear, and we think of a shadow in the woods, creature in the night.
What's happening?
If only it were that simple.
Maybe you're already dead. Who are you?
She once tried to make them go away.
Mother, do you hear them?
Pretend they weren't real.
Who's there?
But what good is that?
Just in places.
When we are always here.
This is what happens when you listen to the voices of the underworld. They crawl into your soul and rot you from the inside.
With every defeat, the dark rot will grow and soon it will take her soul. But for now, at least, she still has control of her mind. And she will fulfill her vow.
Don't let this darkness come between us.
Whatever the cost.
The darkness touched you. Everyone could see it in the hollows of your eyes.
What's your name?
A gaze averted from light.
Senua. You should become a warrior.
You ran from it but brought it nearer. Led it to him. An endless suffering, worse than death. And you wanted to surrender. Abandon and find peace with the gods. So you will walk into the lair of the beast. Look it in the eye, and you will go to war.
She will save his soul, even if this time she can't save her own.
It's coming back for me.
Focus!
I see you.
The combat in Hellblade is phenomenal, and I like the way it makes you play tactically and defensively. And I'm a defensive fighter, the way I play games like this, where you're going to have to do a lot of combinations to take out your enemies. But the best way I like to take out my enemies is by dodging and parrying and blocking, and limit their attack and use my defense as an attack. As the old adage goes, your best offense is your best defense, and that's how I try to approach Valravn, because he's a shifty, fast, free-flowing, fluid-moving type of boss that can just move from here, and he teleports from here to there, so it's tough to get a hit on him unless you use the focus to slow his reaction time. And he has good reflexes, and he'll throw those dual daggers at you, and you got to be careful when you use your focus, because they're going in slower, so you might not pay attention to them as much, so you got to keep your eye on that. But the combat is very, very strategic and tactical, which I love, and it was just exhilarating. With this whole sequence with this fight is just amazing. You can see that I ran up and melee kneed him, and there's some moves on here that you do one time and you don't really see him again the way the animation is. And I thought that was pretty interesting and pretty cool. But the combat in this game is almost a secondary note because the story is such a gripping story, but we'll get into that in the story section. But I just want to focus in on the combat because this is exhilarating fighting, and when you can just put up a great combination of combos and just eviscerate your enemies, because Senua is a Celtic warrior, and with those markings that she bears, she is brutal the way she fights, but she's fighting the Northmen. These guys are bigger and stronger. Those are one of the moves that I haven't seen again when I was playing this game. So she's going to have to use speed, agility, and quickness to take out a bigger, stronger, physically imposing enemy. So the combat for me gets a remarkable 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, however you want to rate it. This is great combat and execution of it.
To get into the boat and go back. No one will judge her. No one will ever know.
The graphics in HELLBLADE Senua's Sacrifice are among some of the best, and Ninja Theory did one remarkable job, with the Unreal Engine and just pumping out a beautiful, gorgeous looking, immersive game with HELLBLADE. And you can see almost every detail of her hair, like that, that back part you get when your hair grows for a while and you get hair everywhere. You can see that portion of it in the back. I like little specific details like that, the reflections and the water puddles right there. I mean, just fantastic job. And when I play my game, I like to put the settings on high, so you can get the absolute best resolution. And this is on a base PS4, not a PS4 Pro, that the game looks this good. I know it's on PC as well, so you can play it at its max setting, but we're just talking about the consoles. This is a gorgeous, phenomenal game, and the attention to detail is real specific, because where you slice the enemy, you can actually see the infliction of damage that you do with your sword, and that's pretty darn remarkable. And the cutscenes are remarkable, just immaculate, and I like how seamlessly it blends in with the gameplay graphics. It's hardly any drop off at all for it. So it's one of my favorite parts right here, just how realistic and the way her eyeballs move in this whole sequence. You just feel the tension and the fear that she has in this whole sequence. I mean, they did a really good job with the attention to detail. The way the sun, like I said before, with the reflection, the way the sunlight just bounces off of things, it just looks remarkable. And right here, I wanted to slow it down so you can see the infliction of the damage where I'm swinging my sword. So graphically, this game is one of the best looking games that I've played on the PS4 for a multi-plat. Probably is the best looking multi-plat game on the console. So HELLBLADE did another great job in the graphics department.
I just wanna feel deeper, deeper. I just wanna feel deep.
HELLBLADE Senua's Sacrifice is a video game about Senua, a Celtic warrior on a vision quest into Viking territory. But what sets our hero Senua apart is that she suffers from severe psychotic mental illness.
He knows she's getting closer. He can feel her coming closer. She's getting closer. They're watching.
The original idea for HELLBLADE was to create a classic hero's journey, a journey of suffering, but one where the fantasy world is not another planet or alternate universe, but a world that is constructed in Senua's mind. But to do so would mean putting psychotic mental illness at the center of the experience, a subject that is still considered taboo.
The Northmen say the world will come to an end. The sun will grow black, the earth will sink into the sea, the stars will disappear, fire and water will meet, flames will play against the sky, the heavens and earth and all the world will be burned, all the gods will be dead, and the warriors of Valhalla and people everywhere. Senua, prepare yourself for Ragnarok, for it is nigh.
So the stage was set for a new adventure, a journey into the Norse underworld called Hell, a vision quest fueled by madness and myth, a fantasy that was created by Senua's own mind, and one that we would experience through her eyes.
This is your mission. This is your quest. There is nothing else left.
To make a game about a warrior with psychotic mental illness as its central theme was fraught with danger. Mental illness such as psychosis is still taboo and rarely acknowledged in a century of cinema, never mind the new medium of games. Where it does feature, it often conflates psychosis and psychopathy associated with a lack of empathy. It is unfortunate that these two words sound so similar that they are used interchangeably in media. I must admit that I didn't have to look very far to discover my own ignorance of the subject. So we reached out to Paul Fletcher, psychiatrist and professor of health neuroscience at University of Cambridge.
Psychosis is a descriptive term, and it refers to having a loss of contact with objective reality. So it's characterized by two main sets of symptoms. One of them is hallucinations, where somebody experiences perceptions when there is no actual objective thing out there to perceive.
You're already dead.
Who are you?
And the other is delusions, where somebody comes to very often bizarre, unpleasant, frightening beliefs when there's no good evidence in favor of them.
If we were to represent Senua's psychosis, we would have to simulate voice hearing, a common attribute. But how can we simulate something we have no first-hand experience of? Professor Charles Fernyhough, a leading expert in voice hearing from Durham University, offered his help.
Hearing voices is an experience that is usually associated with severe mental illness, and crucially we know that hearing voices is a part of ordinary life for many people who don't meet the criteria for mental illness.
Yeah. Oh, that's not him in real life.
It's very hard to represent what this experience is like, partly because it's such a personal, intense, emotional experience.
To refine our work, we continue to hold meetings with Recovery College East over the course of a year and a half, showing them what we had achieved so far and refining the in-game representations based on their feedback. With their help, flashbacks, visions and changes in perception were woven into the story and gameplay of Senua. To complete Senua's quest, you have to internalize and accept the logic and meaning behind these things to progress. Afterwards they said that they didn't see much evidence of mental illness in the game. People with delusions of all sorts would argue the same thing, that they are not aware of their experience being abnormal in any way.
I need this sword. It's important.
She was always prone to psychosis as a child. Her mother Galina also heard voices and had visions, so perhaps there was a genetic aspect. The trauma of seeing her lover Dillian sacrificed tips her over the edge, making her remodel her reality around a concept that connects everything: the darkness. So the question, is what Senua experiences real? Can only be answered by saying, yes, it is real. It is her reality.
I learned the hard way to not be afraid of death, Senua. Because a life without loss is one without love. And emerge from that darkness.
Hellblade's ending reminded me of Inception, the way it ended when the totem was still spinning and it toppled just a little bit at the end, giving you the perception was mission accomplished by Cobb and his team, or was it all just a dream of him, you know, getting back to his kids? And it kind of gives that similar impression with Senua, only with her psyche and her mental stability being unaware and showing a lot of illusions. But as Tahim, the game director, developer, would tell you,
So the question, is what Senua experiences real? Can only be answered by saying, yes, it is real. It is her reality.
So in a way, yes, what Senua is experiencing is real, but from her reality, her own reality conjured up in her mind. You're seeing this experience, this journey from her perspective. And what hits the breaking point is the death of Dillion. He is such a key factor in this game, and that's why she goes over the edge, because the killing by the Northmen of Dillion is what breaks her mental aspect. It's what sends her over the edge. And this is why she has trouble accepting death, as Dillion was trying to explain to her. The only way you can get through this is if you accept death, because it's a part of life and there's no way around it. You have to embrace it and know that at a certain point we all have an expiration date and we're gonna die. But if she felt guilty during her journey of why she couldn't save Dillion, and she caused a lot of self-infliction and physical damage to her and mental damage. That's why if you see Hella right there, that's Hella on the ground. That is nobody else but Hella, because she's finally accepting that all these delusions, all these, torment was, you have to accept that the one you love is gone, Dillion. And this is what the game wanted you to see from her perspective, is that she wasn't mentally stable, and what she was experiencing was her own reality of her own torment. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment and your thoughts.
Smother your furies and banish your fears. But in darkness they came, through stormy black seas they raided these shores. Do you still hear his screams? And now that you're home, he's so far away. They've taken his soul. To these gods you cannot pray. They can break you, but not your promise. Even death won't keep you apart. Through his darkness you will find him. In your sword still beats our heart. You fought for love unspoilt by your darkness within. Head of his corpse lies the seat of his soul. So you must carry his vessel to bring him back home.
PlayStation PlayStation